Hey guys, it's Connoisseur Sam, and I seem to have overslept Halloween. Not to threat though, because if you're still in a bit of a spooky mood, I've got something great for you today. Dracula. You all know him. Greats like Christopher Lee, Bela Lugosi, and Adam Sandler have all portrayed this iconic vampire. Credited to Mr. Abraham Stoker, who is the genius inventor of this fantastically terrifying villain. This vampire, for many years after Stoker's passing, was truly Bram Stoker's Dracula. Until he wasn't, because the property of Dracula entered the public domain, and many movies were created based on the original novel and character. Years went by until 1992, when famous director Francis Ford Coppola seemed to want to remind people that Dracula was still, in fact, Bram Stoker's, and made his own Dracula movie named Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's a little confusing given it isn't actually Bram Stoker's Dracula, and now anytime someone mentions Bram Stoker's Dracula, one has to ask whether they mean Bram Stoker's Dracula by Bram Stoker or Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola. Anyway, Bram Stoker's Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola recently turned 30 years old. Big celebrations were in order, so I bought the anniversary edition so I could gush over why I love this movie. This is not going to contain a summary of the story of Dracula, so if you have no idea how the story goes, how about you go and get educated? Bram Stoker's Dracula is absolutely insane. It is so batshit crazy, in fact, that even if you've read the book, you will at times be very confused. Funnily enough, this is still one of the most faithful adaptations of not just Dracula, but also the experience of being on unbridled amounts of opium. It's hard to believe that the director of The Godfather and Apocalypse Now managed to create something so unhinged. Very little about this movie makes sense, yet at the same time it kind of does. It's hard to explain how, but this movie and its themes are at the core so distorted that the wacky nature of the film makes total sense. The movie is absolutely beautiful. Every camera move, every frame, it's all gorgeous and so incredibly unique. I promise you, you have never seen a movie that looks like this. A movie that looks so fantastical and unreal, yet was completely made with in-camera effects. The costume design is beautiful, from Japanese-inspired geisha robes and armor to dark Victorian attire. Every flowing cape and dress looks so stunning, and every prosthetic costume and makeup looks terrifying. This film is like forbidden eye candy. No wonder the movie won an Oscar for both makeup and costume design. The characters are so good too. You have Joe Biden as Dracula, then Sirius Black as Dracula, then Jacob the Werewolf as Dracula, and then Batman as Dracula. Gary Oldman delivers such a raw portrayal of Dracula, being so versatile and insane in his performance. And then there's Keanu Reeves, who does what Keanu Reeves does best, be Keanu Reeves, but this time he's Victorian with a shitty British accent. Keanu Reeves does not once act in this movie or react to Dracula being creepy, which is kind of in line with Jonathan in the books. He sees Dracula climbing a wall like a spider and says to himself, "Blimmin' heck, that's Eastern Europe for you, innit?" Another large aspect of this movie is that it's incredibly horny. Vampires really just want to fuck the whole time while also sucking blood. I mean, at one point in the movie, Keanu Reeves gets head so good from 3 vampire ladies, his hair turns grey.
All you need to know is there is a 30-second close-up shot of Keanu Reeves' nipple being licked.
This movie is full of bloody sex and bestiality. It sounds really weird to write that, but for some reason while watching the movie, I never once questioned that. Lastly, the music is absolutely divine. It's one of those scores you cannot unhear. Terrifying and epic, filled with energy and gravitas. God, I sound like such a douchebag. But honestly, Wojtek Kilar absolutely nailed the vibe with this score. We seem to be handing out Oscars to this movie, so let's slap another one on here for sound editing too. All the elements of this movie are so unconventional, they have so many different influences that shouldn't actually work together, yet because the film is so absurd, it doesn't clash, rather stacks together seamlessly like a perfect blood-soaked lasagna. Weird analogy aside, this movie is not perfect. Far from it. It's kind of really bad at times and also very confusing. It does lots of things for seemingly no reason except to be kind of shocking and weird, yet exactly this is why it's kind of amazing. It's so unhinged and perverse, yet also in a twisted way so beautiful due to its cinematography and characters and music. It's so comfortable in the fact that it's unbelievable that one cannot help to just sit back and believe it all. It's really one of those movies where you sit there and say, man, they don't make movies like they used to. Over the past year, this movie has become one of my favorites, mainly because of how fascinating it is to me. I highly recommend Bram Stoker's Dracula because I know how polarizing it is. I know some people will hate it, yet others will truly love it, and I really enjoy when movies can be so unique and powerful that they can create such a divide in opinions. The movie is in no way a safe movie anyone can get behind. It's a piece of art with so much passion and love put behind it that it has to alienate a potential audience in favor of truly devoting itself to its chaotic aesthetic and themes. I give this movie a Bram Stoker's Dracula out of not actually Bram Stoker's Dracula, but Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula based on Bram Stoker's Dracula by Bram Stoker. Bram Stoker, Connoisseur Sam out.